Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolitz. Hoping that you will not skip my ads. It's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
The tension was palpable in a dimly lit chamber. Shadows danced ominously on the walls, cast by flickering torchlight. A ferocious figure stood at the forefront, brandishing a gleaming longsword. His eyes burned with anticipation, a cruel smile playing on his lips as he swung the blade toward Zane Martell.
What's the big deal about being a genius or a wolf prince? In a real fight, you're nothing.
Just as the sword's light was about to land on Zane Martell's head, an afterimage flashed beside him. The air seemed to crackle with an unseen force, and time appeared to slow. Sound of a heavy slap. A resounding slap echoed through the room, landing squarely on the figure's head, deforming his face instantly. The sword's light shattered into 1,000 shards of glinting metal. And his body flew backward, crashing into the wooden door behind him and reducing it to splinters. The room fell into a stunned silence, the only sound being the echo of the violent impact.
What just happened?
The disciples of the God Will Sect were frozen in shock, their faces pale and eyes wide with disbelief. The scent of fear permeated the air, mingling with the acrid smell of burning wood. A human-shaped puppet, Gabriel Stone, materialized beside Zane Martell, his expression one of cool indifference. He clapped his hands nonchalantly, as if the violent outburst were a mere trifle.
Is this the best the God Will Sect can muster? Amateurs, all of you.
Gabriel's words cut through the silence like a knife. The disciples' shock turned to a mix of anger and humiliation. Their pride, now bruised, urged them to act, yet the fear of the unknown held them back.
A talking puppet. This is between the God Will Sect and Stephen of Darkwolf Hall. Step aside or I'll cut you to pieces.
The elder's voice trembled with barely controlled rage. He took a step forward, his hand gripping the hilt of his sword tightly, knuckles white from the pressure. Before the elder could react, Gabriel Stone vanished and reappeared in an instant, delivering another devastating slap. Sound of a slap and a scream. The elder's head exploded like a watermelon, spraying blood and brain matter across the room. The sight was gruesome, and the metallic scent of blood filled the air. Caleb Pierce's shock deepened, his breath coming in shallow gasps as he tried to comprehend the sheer power displayed before him.
An expert at the peak of the 7th stage, defeated in one blow. How is this possible?
The remaining disciples of the God Will Sect, their faces pale with fear, trembled as they faced the indomitable Gabriel Stone. Each heartbeat echoed like a drum in their ears, their minds racing with the realization of their impending doom. The flickering torchlight cast long shadows on the stone walls, amplifying the eerie silence that followed Gabriel's last devastating attack. The air was thick with the scent of blood and burnt flesh, a grim reminder of the power they were up against. The disciples exchanged desperate glances, silently urging someone, anyone, to find a way out of this nightmare.
Senior, please, do not interfere with our conflict. We will repay your favor.
Beth's voice quivered as she spoke, her eyes wide with terror. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, each beat a painful reminder of her vulnerability. The other disciples looked to her, hope flickering in their eyes, praying that Gabriel Stone might show mercy. But deep down, they knew that their pleas were likely in vain.
I don't need your gratitude, just your lives.
A murmur of disbelief rippled through the disciples, their resolve crumbling like a fragile piece of glass. They had faced many enemies before, but never one as relentless and powerful as Gabriel Stone. The reality of their situation settled over them like a dark cloud, smothering any remaining hope. The room seemed to close in around them, the walls echoing with the sound of their shallow breaths and the distant crackling of flames.
That's absurd. Attack him together.
In a surge of defiance, the disciples charged at Gabriel, releasing a storm of energy waves, saber radiance, and sword shadows. The air crackled with the intensity of their combined attacks, each one aimed at the seemingly invincible puppet. But Gabriel Stone stood unperturbed, his eyes cold and calculating. He watched their futile efforts with a mixture of amusement and disdain, his fists igniting with raging flames as he prepared to counter their assault.
If I were you, I'd run. I, Gabriel Stone, will end your lives.
Gabriel Stone's fists moved with blinding speed, each strike landing with devastating precision. The disciples' bodies were reduced to mere remnants of flesh and blood, their screams cut short by the overwhelming force of Gabriel's attacks. The room was filled with the sickening sounds of explosions, screams, and the crackling of flames, a symphony of destruction that echoed through the chamber. The once proud disciples of the Godwill sect were no match for Gabriel's relentless fury. Explosions, screams, and the crackling of flames. Thick black smoke rose above the imperial capital, drawing the attention of nearby sects and forces. People gathered in the streets, their faces etched with curiosity and fear as they speculated about the source of the commotion. Whispers spread like wildfire, each rumor more exaggerated than the last. The imperial capital was abuzz with talk of the mysterious battle unfolding within the walls of the Godwill sect.
Don't come any closer. Sebastian, the first elder of the Godwill sect, will avenge me.
Her voice trembled as she retreated, her eyes darting around the room in search of an escape. But there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Gabriel Stone moved closer, his expression unchanging. Beth's heart raced, fear coursing through her veins as she realized the futility of her situation. She was cornered, her back against the cold stone wall, with no hope of rescue.
Zane Martell, how should we handle her?
Gabriel's words hung in the air, a chilling reminder of the power he wielded. The room fell silent, the disciples watching in horrified anticipation. They knew that whatever decision was made, it would seal their fate. Beth's mind raced, trying to grasp at any possibility of survival. The mention of Zane Martell's name sent a shiver down her spine. Could it really be him?
Zane Martell? Impossible. You can't be the Death Zane Martell.
Zane Martell removed his dark wolf mask, his appearance shifting back to his true form. His eyes, cold and calculating, met Beth's, and she felt a wave of disbelief wash over her. The legendary Death standing before her was more terrifying than she could have ever imagined.
It's really you.
Her knees buckled as she collapsed, trembling uncontrollably. The weight of her realization bore down on her, each breath a struggle. Desperation filled her voice as she pleaded, her mind grasping for any shred of mercy that might save her from the fate that awaited her.
Zane Martell, don't kill me. I won't reveal your identity. I'll tell you everything about the Godwill sect.
The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. The fate of Beth, the secrets of the Godwill sect, and the path forward for Zane Martell, all teetered on the edge of a knife, leaving everyone to wonder. The torches flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls as if mocking the gravity of the situation. What will Zane Martell decide? And what secrets lie within the Godwill sect? The atmosphere was thick with suspense, each second stretching into an eternity. The disciples held their breath, their eyes fixed on Zane, waiting for his next move. The fate of the Godwill sect hung in the balance, and the tension was almost unbearable. Stay tuned to uncover the next twist in this unfolding saga. In the dim glow of twilight, the tension was palpable. Zane Martell, his face a mask of cold determination, sneered as he approached Beth. Her fear was evident, but Zane Martell's resolve was unshakable. The forest around them was eerily silent, the rustling leaves and distant hoots of owls amplifying the intensity of the moment.
Let you go, haha. What makes you think that is possible?
Before that fateful day, Zane Martell had never considered killing Beth. He once believed she was as much a victim as Alora, their mutual friend who had been caught in the crossfire of their perilous journey. But now, he knew the truth. Beth had betrayed them, revealing the cruel methods to Sebastian. His mind raced back to the moment he discovered her treachery, the sting of betrayal still fresh in his heart. Zane remembered the times he had confided in Beth, shared his fears and hopes. He had thought they were on the same side, fighting against a common enemy. But all along, she had been feeding their plans to Sebastian, the very person they sought to overthrow. It was a bitter pill to swallow, one that hardened his heart, steeled his resolve.
Don't kill me, please. I beg you, if you kill me,
Her words were cut short as a stream of Cyan sword energy pierced through her throat. Blood gushed like a fountain, the crimson liquid stark against the darkening sky. Yet she didn't die immediately. Clutching her throat, her eyes filled with fear and regret, she struggled, her breaths coming in short, desperate gasps until she collapsed into a pool of blood. The sight was both horrifying and strangely cathartic for Zane.
It's done. With Beth gone, Sebastian's plans will be delayed. We've bought ourselves some time.
But suddenly a scarlet light erupted from Beth's body, shooting skyward and forming a strange pattern in the air. The glow illuminated the forest, casting eerie shadows on the trees and creating an otherworldly atmosphere.
Oh no! Sebastian's planted a mark on her. He'll know she's been harmed.
Zane Martell's expression turned grave, mirroring the concern on the faces of Caleb Pierce, Gabriel Stone, and the others. They had been standing nearby, watching the scene unfold with bated breath. Now their anxiety was palpable, each of them fully aware of the impending danger. Zane's mind raced as he considered their next move. Caleb, a tall and imposing figure, stepped forward, his brow furrowed in thought. Gabriel, his usually calm demeanor shaken, glanced nervously at the sky. The scarlet pattern above them was a beacon, a signal to Sebastian that something had gone terribly wrong. Meanwhile, far away in a desolate waterfall within the Godwill sect, Sebastian, an old man in his 80s, suddenly opened his eyes. The serene surroundings of the waterfall were at odds with the fury that radiated from him. His eyes, bloodshot and furious, burned with an incomparably powerful pressure that seemed to warp the air around him. The rocks around the waterfall trembled as Sebastian's rage grew. He had sensed the disturbance, the abrupt end of Beth's life, and the scarlet mark that now tainted the sky. It was a sign that his carefully laid plans were at risk, and he was not a man who tolerated failure.
Beth, why can't I sense her blood soul mark? Did something happen to her? Victor Stone, where are you? Get over here now.
Booming like an awakened lion, his voice made hearts tremble. The serene ambience of the waterfall shattered as the force of his rage echoed through the cavernous space. A figure descended from the sky. A middle-aged man with white hair and a livid expression, his presence both commanding and filled with trepidation.
Greetings, First Elder.
Victor Stone, an expert-level practitioner, dared not be arrogant before Sebastian, despite his formidable power. Fear etched his features as he bowed deeply, the weight of Sebastian's fury pressing down on him like an immense invisible hand. He could feel the powerful aura radiating from the elder. An aura that seemed to distort the very air around them.
Didn't I tell you to keep an eye on Beth? I can't sense her blood soul mark now. What's going on?
A mountain-like pressure bore down on Victor Stone, forcing him to his knees. The sheer intensity of Sebastian's anger was palpable, a physical force that made the ground beneath Victor seem to quake. He struggled to lift his head, his thoughts racing as he tried to find words that might placate the enraged elder.
I did stay around her, but she started avoiding me. I don't know what happened.
Fear gripped Victor Stone as he recalled the past few days' events. He had noticed Beth's increasing evasiveness, her sudden changes in behavior. He had thought it was merely stress or paranoia, never imagining it would lead to this catastrophe. His mind replayed every interaction, every moment he might have missed a critical sign.
First Elder, please give me another chance. I'll find her immediately. If she's still alive, I'll bring her back. If not, I'll make those responsible pay.
Sebastian's eyes narrowed, his face a mask of cold calculation. The old man had seen betrayal and incompetence before, and his patience for both was thin. His voice, when it came, was like the cutting edge of a blade, sharp and unyielding.
No need. If something happened to her, come to me with your head.
Victor Stone, shivering, nodded and flew toward Zane Martell. The weight of his failure hung heavy on his shoulders as he soared through the air, his thoughts a chaotic whirl of fear and determination. The commotion in the tea house had attracted many onlookers, their hushed whispers a backdrop to the unfolding drama.
Look, isn't that Stephen from Darkwolf Hall? Why is he here?
There was a conflict. Godwill Sect's disciples were knocked out. This could be trouble.
As the crowd scattered, a fierce gust of wind and a raging flame appeared in the sky. Heralding the arrival of Victor Stone. Hovering above the tea house, he peered inside to see Beth's lifeless body at Zane Martell's feet. The sight filled him with a cold, hollow dread, his worst fears confirmed in an instant.
Beth! Stephen! Did you kill Beth? Answer me!
The killing intent from Victor Stone's voice was overwhelming, pressing down on Zane Martell and the others like a mountain. The air grew thick with tension, every breath a struggle under the weight of his fury. Zane met his gaze with a steely determination, unflinching in the face of the oncoming storm.
I did kill her. So what?
Victor Stone's face twisted in fury, his features contorted with a mixture of grief and rage. His voice was a low growl, filled with a promise of retribution.
You killed Beth? Your families and friends will pay for this.
Nonsense. She tried to kill me. Should I have let her? If anyone dares to come at me, I'll kill them all.
Victor Stone's face twisted in fury, his words dripping with malice. The raw, unfiltered hatred in his eyes was like a burning fire, consuming all reason and mercy.
You should have let her kill you. Now you'll die for this.
The confrontation was electric, with both sides ready to unleash their fury. The stakes had never been higher, and the outcome was uncertain. The tension hung in the air, leaving everyone wondering what would happen next. As Zane stood his ground, he couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had led them to this point. The alliances formed, the friendships tested, and the betrayals that cut deeper than any blade. Each decision, each sacrifice had brought them closer to this pivotal moment. The weight of their mission, the hope of a better future, and the fear. The tea house's tranquility shattered like glass, replaced by a palpable tension that electrified the air. Victor Stone's voice sliced through the noise, sharp and unforgiving. He was not a man to be trifled with, and today, his wrath was palpable, filling the room with a menacing energy.
How dare you? How dare you speak to me like that? You're just a kid from Dark Wolf Hall in the martial spirit realm. Kill! I'll kill you. Go to hell.
With a swift motion, Victor Stone's hands flipped over, conjuring a massive palm that descended with crushing force. The very air seemed to bend under the weight of his fury, as if the atmosphere itself was recoiling from his anger. The patrons of the tea house, who moments before had been enjoying a peaceful afternoon, now found themselves caught in the midst of a brewing storm. The pressure was immense, threatening to obliterate the tea house. Teacups rattled, and patrons clutched at their seats in fear. The walls of the tea house groaned under the strain, and for a moment, it seemed as if the entire structure might collapse. But amidst the chaos, Gabriel Stone's voice rang out, calm yet cutting, slicing through the tension like a knife through butter.
Haha, typical of the old men from Godwill's sect. So old, yet still so ignorant. What an eye-opener.
Gabriel Stone countered with a strike of his own, his palm rising to meet Victor Stone's. The clash was blinding, a brilliant light that illuminated every corner. Shadows danced wildly on the walls, casting eerie figures that seemed to come alive in the intense glow. It was as if the forces of nature themselves were clashing, and the entire tea house was caught in the crossfire. Silence reigned for a heartbeat before a colossal blast wave erupted, reverberating like thunder. The force of the explosion rattled windows and sent shockwaves through the streets. As the dust settled, both men stood unscathed, their faces masks of determination. The tension in the air was almost tangible, a silent testament to the power and skill of the two combatants.
A martial spirit realm puppet? Blocking my attack? Impossible.
Gabriel Stone's eyes flashed with a knowing glint, his true strength shrouded in mystery. Victor Stone's anger flared anew, the veins in his neck pulsing with rage. He could not believe that someone he considered inferior had matched him blow for blow.
Think you're safe because you blocked one attack. What about the brats behind you?
With a gesture, Victor Stone unleashed twin attacks, one targeting Gabriel Stone and the other speeding towards Zane Martell. The very air crackled with energy. the sheer force of the attacks causing the ground to tremble. The energy waves radiated outward, shaking the foundations of nearby buildings and sending shockwaves through the crowd.
How dare you try to kill in front of me? Ridiculous. You'll never succeed as long as I'm Gabriel Stone.
Gabriel Stone moved with lightning speed, smashing Victor Stone's attack aimed at him. He appeared beside Zane Martel in a flash, destroying the second strike. The swiftness of his movements left a trail of afterimages, a testament to his incredible agility and power. The spectators could barely follow his movements, their eyes straining to keep up with the blur of action. Victor Stone's attacks disintegrated, his fury giving way to disbelief. His eyes widened in shock as he realized the depth of Gabriel's strength. He had underestimated his opponent, and now he was paying the price. Gabriel Stone shot into the sky, a crimson sword gleaming in his hand. A gift from Zane Martel. The sword, an artifact of immense power, seemed to hum with anticipation, its blade pulsing with the sinister red glow. It was a weapon of legend, capable of great destruction in the hands of a skilled wielder.
Kill.
His eyes blazed with killing intent. The crimson sword flickered, and in an instant, Victor Stone's head separated from his body. The motion was so swift and precise, it seemed almost surreal. The crowd gasped in horror and awe, unable to comprehend the speed and efficiency of the strike. The sword's ferocity startled experts across the imperial capital. Word of the encounter spread like wildfire, drawing the attention of the city's most powerful figures. The news of Victor's defeat at the hands of Gabriel Stone sent shockwaves through the ranks of the elite. What a terrifying sword vigor. Who is this master of the art of sword, the experts wondered. As murmurs spread, sect leaders and elders moved swiftly to investigate. Klain and Madame He felt the earth-shaking sword vigor in Dark Wolf Hall. The energy of the attack resonated through the very core of the capital, stirring curiosity and fear alike.
First Elder, this sword vigor is mighty. Something must have happened.
Let's find out.
Across the capital, sects stirred. In the Godwill sect, Sebastian's eyes snapped open in his secluded waterfall cave, the tranquility of his meditation shattered by the realization of who wielded such power. He had sensed the disturbance, and now he knew its source.
Gabriel Stone's sword vigor? Impossible, he's still imprisoned. Unless the Liu family? Get me someone, now!
A trembling disciple reported the Liu family's annihilation. Sebastian's rage exploded, killing the messenger instantly. His fury was a palpable force, the air around him seeming to crackle with his barely contained power. He would not tolerate insubordination or failure.
Gabriel Stone, you won't escape me. Even if you start running now, it's too late.
Sebastian, flanked by two elders, sped towards Zane Martel's location, the urgency of their mission evident in their swift, almost desperate movements. Meanwhile, in the marketplace, Victor Stone's lifeless body hit the ground with a sickening thud, a grim testament to Gabriel's unmatched prowess. Zane Martel seized the moment, devouring Victor Stone's vital energy and blood energy, feeling the rush of power. The sensation was intoxicating, filling him with a renewed sense of strength and purpose. Yet his eyes were glued to Gabriel Stone, whose strength seemed boundless.
Gabriel Stone? He killed Victor Stone with one strike. If he were in his prime.
Suddenly, more experts in the expert level converged on them, their gazes fixated on the scene. Suspicion and awe filled their eyes as they assessed the source of the terrifying sword vigor. Each new arrival added to the tension, their presence a silent acknowledgement of the gravity of the situation.
A puppet killed an expert-level practitioner. With such sword vigor, remarkable.
As more experts gathered, the tension thickened. Questions buzzed in the air, each one more urgent than the last. Whispers of Gabriel Stone's past, his legendary feats, and the power he once wielded spread through the crowd like wildfire. The world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the next move in this deadly dance. What would happen next? The answers lay just beyond the horizon, cloaked in suspense and danger. The air was thick with anticipation, the silence pregnant with the promise of impending conflict. And so the stage was set for an epic confrontation, each moment teetering on the edge of chaos. The assembled experts and onlookers felt the weight of destiny pressing down upon them, the sense that history was about to be made. In the heart of the tea house, amidst the shattered remnants of a once peaceful day, The true nature of power and ambition was laid bare. The clash between Victor and Gabriel Stone was more than a simple conflict. It was a battle of ideologies, a struggle for dominance that would shape the future of the realm.